No, I feel the same way.
It's my life.
That's right. That's right.
Welcome to Eastside High School, and thank you for attending this afternoon State of the District event. I'm the principal at Eastside, Mr. Williams, and this afternoon you will hear from some teachers. This afternoon, you will hear from some teachers, some staff members, students, and parents about what's happening in our schools and how you can be a part of planning for the future. But before we begin, on behalf of our faculty and staff, and as principal of Eastside High School, I would like to introduce to you our magnificent Eastside High School Grand Band and Cheerleaders. Now you have the opportunity to see why we call Eastside the best side. Take it away, Ram Band. Let's give a round of applause to our Ram Band and cheerleaders. We're really excited about that opportunity. Good afternoon. We would like to extend you a warm welcome to Eastside High School. On behalf of our faculty and staff, and as principal of Eastside, we have the distinct pleasure of welcoming you to our wonderful campus. We're pleased to welcome all community members, visitors, special guests in our presence this afternoon. We're grateful to serve as your hosts and have our platform guests in attendance, district staff, and all of Alachua County Public Schools staff members. Eastside High School is thankful for the support we receive from the facilities department and our community. Thanks to the half-cent sales tax, we were able to have a first-class facility. Let's give that a round of applause. Especially with our newly renovated auditorium. The visual improvements of our facility has definitely enhanced the beautification of our campus, as you can see. Again, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are in for a treat today as we present to you the state of the district, transformation and progress of Alachua County Public Schools. Therefore, it is my esteemed pleasure to present to you our Superintendent of Alachua County Public Schools, Dr. Carly Simon.
So welcome. Thank you so much for coming on a Monday evening. I know it was quite a commute, but I appreciate you coming. This is where I graduated high school. So go Rams! Before we begin, I wanted to just recognize some individuals and thank them for coming and contributing to this, because this was not a project that was done alone. This was definitely a team effort, and so I want to thank them. So first, if I can start the other performers in our presentation, if I could have my team please just stand up and wave for everybody. If I have elected officials, any elected officials or government officials, if you wouldn't mind just standing up and waving for everyone. And if you're a school board member, I'm going to also individually recognize you. So Mr. Rob Hyatt. I have Mrs. Mildred Russell. Mrs. Tina Certain, Dr. Leonetta McNeely, and Dr. Paulson would have been here, but unfortunately he had a family emergency, and so he does send his apologies for not being here. I also would like to recognize the fact that we know that in order for us to really educate our community, it's a team effort beyond that. So if you are a parent, I'd like you to please stand up. Thank you. And Alachua County students, if you are in here, please stand up. And then most important, we know our staff are doing a huge amount this year, and we know that they were strained with last year as well. And so I also want to recognize all Alachua County staff. If you would please just stand up so everyone can applaud you. Thank you. And so we'll start with the why. I'm a huge Simon Sinek fan, and he recommends that we start with the why. And when you're in education, interestingly enough, I'd find that coming to the why is very easy, because educators are passionate about the why. They look for purpose in what they do. I honestly don't believe that you would enter the education field if you didn't have a belief system that educating our children is paramount to the success of our society. And so When we do this work, you have to understand that people who devote their lifetime to educating communities, they do it because it is their purpose. It is who they are. I just had an advisory council meeting where I asked my teachers, what would they do if they had unlimited funds? Very interestingly, traveling was a big one, but with traveling or with whatever their secondary or their primary purpose, it was they would be a teacher. And I think that that's important because I think what it says is that everyone is dedicated in this district to focusing on educating our community, and that is our why. I was brought in December of 2020 as the new superintendent. When I came in, there was a new board that brought me in, and the goal was for me to focus on addressing the needs that perhaps aren't so recognized. So we're an A-performing district. But one of the things that I think we aren't is we're not an A-performing district to every single one of our students. And that's something that we know we need to focus on. We also know that the pandemic has taken all of our inequities of the past and it has exacerbated them. It's made them more pronounced. We see problems that are larger than what we thought they were beforehand, and we now know even more so that we have to lean in hard on how we increase the equity, improve the quality of our instruction, and now specifically enhanced by the effects of the pandemic. We know that our supports for mental health have to be put at the forefront of everything that we do. So on June 2nd, I shared my vision, and I talked about the things that I was excited about and the discussions that I had had with my team. We talked about academics, we talked about social emotional, and we talked about our school facilities. And what we are today going to do is we are going to share those ideas that are now reality. So one thing I want you to know going into this, and one thing I will wrap up when I talk to you later at the end of the presentation, the things that we are presenting on June 2nd didn't exist other than they were ideas that we had talked about. So in 5 months, we have created programs out of an ideation phase. And so what I want to emphasize is that our intent is that we have more ideas. We're going to get more programs. We've only just begun. We have a lot of work to do, but our group works well. We're a highly functioning team, and we have good energy, and I think you'll see that today. One of my focuses when I worked on the organizational chart for the district was we had too many silos. We had really great people, but they were working very independent from one another. And the only way that we're going to get where we need to go is we have to work together. And so that's why we are better together. And what we're going to talk about at the end of this presentation is how we can bring you all in to increase this, because we're now ready to scale up. We're hoping that COVID is behind us, or at least allowing us to be able to move forward without it being at the forefront of every thought we have. And so we want you to join us, but we'd like to tell you what we're doing and how excited we are, and then we hope to have further discussions with you. So right now, we're a transformation in progress. We have started. We are by no means done, but we think it's important for us to tell you our story, because we're the ones who are going to be able to share what we're doing. But we also have, in our videos, we will have our families, our students, our teachers, who are also involved, and they are seeing this transformation. So I would like to welcome you to the State of the District. This is our transformation in progress. First presenter I would like to introduce you to is our Chief of Teaching and Learning, and that is Ms. Jenny Wise.
Thank you, Dr. Simon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. The curriculum department has been working to address learning loss associated with pandemic teaching and learning. Our teachers made Herculean efforts to keep our students learning from home, the classroom, and sometimes both at the same time during the last school year. As a result, some of our students experienced learning loss, and we're working hard to accelerate them to be back on pace. The curriculum department has collaborated with a variety of other departments, the administrators in our schools, to launch some new programs specifically designed to address learning loss. I'm grateful to the other chiefs and their departments for the work that we're doing together to quickly get these new interventions in place to help our students. The high-dose tutoring program is an intensive intervention that occurs one-on-one or in very small groups on a sustained daily basis during the school day to help students accelerate their learning. In our elementary school high-dose tutoring, we use SIPs, Systematic Instruction in Phonological Awareness, phonics, and sight words, and paraprofessionals serve students in groups of 3 or fewer based on fluency data. We piloted it during our summer programs. In our secondary schools, we're using the Great Leaps curriculum. Great Leaps is an evidence-based fluency intervention that focuses on phonics, sight phrases, stories, and depth of knowledge comprehension questions. This program will encourage students to read fluently with full comprehension and grow at an accelerated rate. Students will work one-on-one with trained school professionals for 10 to 15 minutes daily using this structured program. Periodic progress is monitored to evaluate the student's progress. These paraprofessionals receive training in the program as well as how to document the student progress so that we can move them into the groups that best serve their needs. Let's take a look.
And so it may be a little bit more challenging because this is my challenge group and you all can do it. All right. My name is Floretha Bryant and I've been a teacher for over 44 years. I thought about retiring a few years ago, but I just love working with kids. I worked as a long-term sub for the past couple of years, but this year I've taken on a new challenge. I am now a high-dose tutor at Stephen Foster Elementary School. Every day I work with small groups of 4th and 5th graders who need the extra help with reading. I like what you had and you just needed just a little bit more time. When we started, a lot of the kids weren't sure why they were there, but now they love the extra attention and they love learning. They're also much more confident in their reading ability. That makes a big difference in the classroom.
They've been much more engaged since being in the program. They're raising their hands much more often and they're reading independently and even aloud to the class. We have moments where they just beg to read out loud, and at the beginning of the year it was not the case. It would be a struggle to get them to read anything, but now they're so much more willing.
Because the high-dose tutoring groups are very small, I can therefore focus on each child's unique needs.
It really hones in on exactly the skills the student is needing. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It is very individualized. It's very targeted for the student. So the students are able to get the exact skills that they need.
The University of Florida College of Education has helped the district implement the tutoring program. The UF staff have been training paraprofessionals on how to work with students and providing materials.
What you want to do, though, is have a regular schedule.
It's I-N-G. What sound does it make? Almost all of Alachua County's public schools are now offering high-dose tutoring in reading to students who need it most, and the rest are hiring their tutors. I believe they'll have the same positive results we're seeing here at Foster.
Many of the teachers have said the students are much more engaged and they're more comfortable in participating in the class because they're getting the foundational skills or the skills that they might be lacking to give them that confidence. So the teachers are really pleased with the amount of engagement that the students are more able to give at this point.
Even though they come back in the middle of a lesson, they're like, Miss Francis, where are we? What are we doing? And they're right there raising their hand and helping out their teammates. So it's been amazing.
I love the excitement when a child learns how to read because reading is my passion. And that's what I want them to feel, my passion for reading. I even tell them you can go anywhere in the world if you just know how to read.
Thank you. Joining me this evening on the stage are our Executive Director for Secondary Schools, Mrs. Wanza Wakely, Executive Director of Human Resources, Mr. David Shellnut, and our Coordinator of Supplemental Education Interventions, Mrs. Patty Knapp. We are grateful for the way our school administrators and teachers have supported scheduling high-dose tutoring into the student day so that we can ensure that students who need the extra support can receive it. We know that we will need to continually support our tutors with training and closely monitor the progress of our students to move them into the levels of support they need. Our ask for you this evening is to spread the word about the new positions available in our schools to become high-dose tutors. This is important and rewarding work, and we're anxious to fill all of the positions so that each student who needs an extra layer of support can receive it. Next, we're going to show you another way we're supporting our students with Beyond the Bell tutoring. Beyond the Bell tutoring is another way to address learning loss for our students. Together with some of our talented and committed teachers and support from our technology coaches, we were able to launch Beyond the Bell this past September, and we have had over 900 students participate so far. The initial concept of this program was to provide support to students who were quarantined and in need of assistance with assignments or homework. As planning continued, we decided to offer this service to any student in the district who needs additional support while at home. The program offers 2 sessions per day, Monday through Thursday, for all grade levels. Elementary students receive support via grade level tutors, and our secondary students are connected with tutors based on subject need. The tutoring sessions are conducted via Zoom, and tutors can work with students one-on-one, although each session can accommodate up to 8 students so that students can observe their peers receiving help, thus learning in the process. What makes this program stand apart from other programs similar in the state is that our tutors are our own certified teachers who work for our district and are familiar with our curriculum and instructional materials. I'm excited tonight to let Jaden and Viviana tell you how Beyond the Bell has helped them.
My name is Jaden Perry, and I'm a 6th grader at Kanapahau Middle School. I'm also the center on my football team. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights, I have practice. It's hard work, but it's fun too. Of course, I still have to get my homework done, even on the days I have practice. Sometimes I need help, especially with math. That's why I log on to Beyond the Bell every day. The teachers in the program have really helped me. I was having trouble with math before, but now I'm doing so much better. That makes my mom really happy.
His last 4 math tests, he's got 100 on, which he's really excited about. I'm excited about, and I know that it's from the tutoring. I can see the difference in his math homework and his test scores.
My math teacher, Miss Mavis, has seen a difference too.
The first thing I noticed in Jaden was his difference in confidence. Of course, his grades also improved, but he was certainly more sure of himself. He was participating in all of the lessons. He was excited. He was smiling when he was doing the material because he was very, very confident in his own abilities.
Since Beyond the Bell started back in September, more than 700 kids have logged on to get tutoring or homework help. One of those kids is Viviana Burleson, who's in 3rd grade at High Springs Community School. She checks in almost every day with Miss Parsons, who teaches at Shell Elementary School in Hawthorne. They haven't ever met in person, and their schools are more than 40 miles apart, but they really like working together.
I see her every day for 4 days a week for an hour a day. I'm feeling this almost the same connection to her as I do to any other kid in my class. It's really kind of fun to see her every day. There was one day she didn't come and I was sad.
I love her teaching because she has a nice smile and she always helps me on everything very well. I have been getting good grades on my homework and my teacher says I have been more confident and my grades have been going up.
If you need help with your homework or something you're learning in school, you should definitely check out Beyond the Bell. It's open Mondays through Thursdays. Elementary school kids can go on from 3 to 4 p.m. and from 6 to 7 p.m. Middle school and high school students can get on from 4 to 5 p.m. and 6 to 7 p.m. Just go to www.sbac.edu/tutor and follow the instruction. Beyond the Bell is a really good program. I know it's helping me, and I know it's helping lots of other kids do better in school.
Jaden and his mom, Miss Perry, are with us tonight. Thank you so much, Jaden, for sharing your story, and as the former principal of Kanapaha, go Coyotes. We are grateful for all of the Beyond the Bell tutors and our Zoom facilitators who act as the air traffic controllers to help our students get into the correct tutoring session. I know in my own home, I'm not always available or able to give my children the homework help they need. So having a team of our very own teachers available to step in and provide that personal level of support is a wonderful asset for all of our students and families. Our ask for you tonight is to help spread the word about Beyond the Bell so that all of our students who need it can receive extra help with homework and assignments. As Jaden told us, it's available Monday through Thursday. Our elementary students from 3 to 4 and 6 to 7, and our secondary students from 4 to 5 and 6 to 7. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our Director of Curriculum to tell us about another one of our programs that we're excited about to support our students. Thank you. Kevin Berry in the house. Forgot his name.
Thank you, Mrs. Wise. So I was told I had 6 minutes to talk a little bit about the transformative power of reading. We'll see. Reading opens up new worlds for all of us. It can ignite the flame of wonder and inspire a never-ending desire to learn. The former Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, once said that literacy is the bridge between misery and hope. How do we in Alachua County Public Schools ignite that flame, inspire that desire, and provide a limitless pathway of hope for all of our students? Well, we provide our teachers and students with the tools they need. Reading comprehension is the product of decoding and language comprehension. In other words, for our students to understand what they read, they must understand how to make sense of the printed word. The first steps in that process are understanding that letters represent sounds, and they learn which sounds are represented by which letters, and then how to blend all those sounds together to decode words. Built on the science of reading, UFly Foundations provides all of our teachers and students in kindergarten through 2nd grade with professional learning and tools for all of that and so much more. Let's hear more about that from one of our teachers from Newberry Elementary, Morgan Douglas.
That's me, Morgan Douglas, with my 1st grade class at Newberry Elementary School. We're doing our daily UFly Foundations activities, and as you can see, my students are having a lot of fun with it. C, K says strong, C, K says strong. UFly stands for University of Florida Literacy Institute, which is where the Foundations program was developed. The goal of the program is to, well, I'll let the kids say it. What is the point of UFly? To become a better reader and a better writer. You got it. I've been teaching for 12 years. And I've seen and used a lot of literacy programs. This one is different. Through the UFly activities, children really learn the phonetic rules of reading, like how silent E, or what we call bossy E, changes a word.
Bossy E, good. He's gonna tell that vowel to say his name.
UFly Foundations is now being used by teachers in every kindergarten through 2nd grade class in the district. One of those teachers is Mackenzie Grocott, a 1st-year teacher who interned with me last year. Just like me, she does a lot of multisensory teaching, which means using verbal repetition, movement, and other activities to reinforce the lessons.
O's. Good. The movement and the interaction, that repetition it builds their consistency with the words, and they're able to read them a lot better. I'm already seeing huge improvements in my kids just from what we're doing every day. So it kind of helps them just having the same procedures every day with phonics, and so it's going very well.
Having the program in all schools definitely helps students who move during the academic year.
That's always something that we're struggling with when a student comes and they're new, and it's like, okay, we got to figure out where they are and then, try to meet their needs. But again, with everybody being on the same schedule, on the same page, that consistency helps with that smooth transition when the student does transfer to a new school.
While the consistency is important, as teachers, we can put our own spin on the program, just like kindergarten teacher Katrina Merricks, who is known at Lake Forest Elementary as Miss A.
So I have to make it where they get it. And I realize that everybody's learning style and curve is different. So I have to make it different and fun and engaging, and that's just what we do.
The staff at UF's Literacy Institute visits schools regularly to help teachers implement the Foundations program in their classrooms. Dr. Holly Lane leads UFly and says the teacher response has been overwhelmingly positive.
I think the teachers are recognizing that this is something that works and that their kids are responding to it really well. Some of our teachers have told us that this is the kids' favorite part of the school day, which that to me says everything.
I am so excited about what I'm seeing in my classroom with UFly. We are truly giving our students such a strong foundation and helping them to become better readers and better writers.
We're so thankful to have here tonight the team, part of the team that has helped to make that possible. So if they would come forward. First, we have Dr. Holly Lane. Dr. Lane is the director of the University of Florida Literacy Institute. For over 20 years, Dr. Lane and her team have conducted and reviewed immeasurable research studies, created learning opportunities for families, teachers, volunteers, philanthropists, and lawmakers, and developed countless tips, tools, and apps to support students' literacy skills. Her partnership and commitment to transforming the lives of Alachua County Public School teachers, students, and their families will forever be impactful. Please join me in also thanking Dr. Valentina Contess, Miss Maya Brown, Miss Mindy Nissenberg, and new to the team, Miss Angela Wells. Thank you, Team UFly. So our ask to all of you is to spread the word of about the power of reading and of UFly Foundations. Be on the lookout for an upcoming webinar for families and community members. The UFly team will share strategies for what our families can do at home to reinforce what is happening at school with UFly Foundations. One more time, thank you, UFly team. I actually think I did it in under 6 minutes. So next up is Taylor Gilfillin, our Director of Data Analytics and Accountability and Evaluation. He's going to talk to us more about how Illuminate helps us transform the way we use data.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So I just want to go ahead and start by acknowledging, I think there was a theme tonight about dressing up as a butterfly. I might not have gotten it, so just bear with me. So today we're going to be talking about Illuminate, and yeah, no, I've definitely got the tallest butterfly ever. But again, my name is Taylor Gilfillin, and I enjoy demystifying data for teachers and leaders. At Alachua County Public Schools, we're transforming the way we think about data and assessments. Teachers deserve tools that make it easier to identify misconceptions and do it in minutes, not hours. So anytime we get a chance to decrease the time it takes to gather data and increase the ability to act on it, kids benefit. So today we want, yeah, we can clap for that. I used to Illuminate for 8 years as a teacher. This is like my dream, getting to talk about it with y'all today. So we're here to talk about Illuminate today, though. Illuminate is an online assessment platform, but so much more. I don't want you to take my words for it, though. I actually want you to hear from one of our students. Let's go and play the video.
Exactly. Yes, Sequoia.
Hello, my name is Asmarabe Islam, and I am a Bangladeshi 5th grader at Glen Springs Elementary School, and this is my science and math class. Every morning we start the day in Miss Steele's class by answering questions about things we learned the day before. Then we scan our answers into a computer so Miss Steele can see how we did. If a lot of us get an answer wrong, Miss Steele will go over that question again until we understand it.
This is the way we're going to see if you are meeting your goal or you're on target.
Ms. Deal is using something called Illuminate. It's a special tool on her computer that lets her see right away how we're doing and where we might need help. It also tells her if she needs to teach something in a different way.
For me, it's huge because then I need to step back and reflect and say, okay, as we have all these missing this one, how can I explain it in the review better to where they don't miss it?
Teachers all over Alachua County are using Illuminate this year in elementary, middle, and high schools. It doesn't just tell teachers what they can do to help kids learn more, it also helps the students to see what we need to work on.
So we're going to make sure that we're meeting in small groups and that we're getting, working on the skills that you didn't master, but I want explaining what the text says.
If they're responsible for their own learning, then they're going to perform better. When they have specific feedback, they're like, okay, now this is what I need to do, or this is what I need to work on. It's been phenomenal, and they're very invested. They love Illuminate. Where is my next step? So I know that
Principals like Illuminate too. Mr. Shepard is a principal at Newberry High School. With Illuminate, he can see how the kids at his school are doing.
It helps me tremendously. It gives me an opportunity to look at each classroom and the data to see exactly what has been taught, and not only what's been taught, what's been learned, and what standards do we need to go over with that teacher or go over with those students as well.
Miss Deal and Miss Majeri have been teaching for a long time, and they're really excited about Illuminate.
everyone is wowed by it. It's probably the thing that I've seen teachers be most excited about that's come out in the 10 years that I've been teaching.
It's going to be a game changer.
Let's give it up for Ozma and our educators, y'all. Believe it or not, we've actually only been starting this initiative since July. We found out in July that our previous assessment platform shut down almost overnight with no warning, and we were all kind of caught off guard. So starting from then, we had to have a lot of teams come together really quickly to come up with a solution, and I'd love to recognize and acknowledge some of those teammates that are with us here today. So first off, Jaquetta Roll, our Director of Professional Development. Jaquetta and her team trained 40 facilitators that then turned around and trained 2,000 teachers and staff, all in under 4 weeks. A truly monumental next up, I'd like to bring out Shankar, our Director of IT. Uma and his incredible information technology team did the impossible. They did what was told they would need to do in 12 weeks basically, and they did it in 8 weeks, which is basically setting up all the background and the database solutions that we needed for Illuminate to even work. So they truly did the impossible in nearly 2/3 of the time. Thank you so much, Uma. We've already met Curriculum Kevin. Curriculum Kevin and his team of amazing curriculum specialists built 34 quarterly assessments in record speed, all aligned to rigorous state standards and ready to go for our first round of AIMS. Again, an unprecedented amount of time. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, curriculum specialists. There's not a number up here for him there too, but my team helped support with a lot of the how-to guides, the video walkthroughs. We leveraged our team's expertise around Illuminate, and we're able to share that directly with teachers and staff, including going to sites, going to Newberry High School, going to Terwilliger, and getting a chance to actually work with teachers and leaders with how to use the data. The how, right? Not just the what. And finally, that big number there in the bottom right corner is the total number of assessments we had entered into Illuminate in a 3-week period. That was over 51,000 opportunities for kids to show their mastery and for teachers to respond to and give kids what they need with the data. Next slide, please. So for my call to action, data without action is meaningless, and we need your help being able to advocate for our students and being able to use it. So my call to action is for our parents. In Illuminate, there is a report called the Parent Letter Report. I know, very straightforward. In it, you'll see something like this. For any given assessment, it gives you an overview of not just how your child did, but what are some skills they're doing well on and what are some skills they can use improvement on. All of our teachers are new to Illuminate, so I know that we're still learning the system together. I know they'll be happy to provide you this report if you ask with it. So that's all I wanted to share today. Parents, please ask for that parent letter report. With that, I'm really excited to introduce my teammate. She's coming out here in just a second, Dr. Antonique Edwards.
Thank you, Taylor, for illuminating our stories through the use of data. I am Dr. Antonique Edwards, the Chief of Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement. It is my distinct pleasure to reference a few of the ways that our district is supporting access to opportunities for our students. This is allowing for our students to become successful as students, but also responsible citizens and future leaders in our local and global community. We are indeed committed to the success of every student, including the diverse needs of each individual child. We recognize that their differences collectively make a greater learning environment. We are planning to engage more with students to hear their voice about how we can better achieve educational outcomes. We look forward to surveys, dialogues, and focus groups that include students in the conversation about their learning. For our educators, it is our goal to move forward as a district by being intentional about their professional development, providing opportunities that talk not only about curriculum, but also focusing on mental health, discipline, positive behavior supports, culturally sensitive pedagogy, and more. Already we have partnered with community agencies on building training around topics such as human trafficking and with the Education Foundation on discipline. We know that having the most prepared, resourced, and supported educators positively impacts students in the classroom. And guess what? If you drove up today and you saw that big blue and white bus out there, you should have been very excited. Certainly we have been, because in the last few weeks, we have been able to hire a Parent Academy specialist, but also to have our 2 mobile units operational again. That's right, our Parent Academy buses are about to hit the street. But Parent Academy is expanding beyond just the buses. We want to make sure that we are providing learning opportunities that highlight resources and strategies that are available for parents in more forums than just being on the bus. We are going to take things virtually and in person to share supports for parents, strategies that will allow their students to be successful in school. We also look forward to sharing those calendar events with you soon. And our community. We are very excited about engaging more with the community, about having conversations, because we recognize that we cannot do this alone. Our students are a part of our community, and it is our goal through the equity department and all of the departments that we are working with to ensure that we are more than community, but that we are family. It is important that we show our students how valuable they are in this family system, Alachua County Public Schools. And so by that opportunity of conversing, with one another, by having people come and sit at the table, we recognize that we'll be able to address the existing achievement and opportunity gaps that seem to persist. We are actively making connections with multiple community members, leaders, and agencies, but we are moving forward to create a steering committee that allows for people to show their commitment over time to the access and resources that are necessary for all of our students to be successful. Those access resources, they're going to be highlighted in this video, so let's take a look.
I know, and this was your big packet.
4-year-old Peyton Scott loves working with her classmates at Wiles Elementary School. Because Peyton is part of the district's Exceptional Student Education, or ESE program, those classmates would typically be other ESE students. But this year, Peyton is part of a classroom that includes both ESE and non-ESE pre-K students. There are now 11 of these new blended classrooms throughout the district.
Because a lot of learning, especially for young children, takes place on the playground. At center time, it's play-based learning. So rather than being in one classroom with students that have typical needs, we truly are more reflective of our community.
Both Peyton's teacher and her mom say she's doing extremely well in the blended setting.
Peyton is doing remarkable. In the beginning, she was a little timid
and standoffish. Now she goes with the flow. She's eager to get into centers. She transitions effectively. I'm very proud of the progress that Peyton is making.
I think it's important that they have the advantage of having a general ed classroom, but also the perks of that extra support if needed, but also to have representation of everyone in a classroom so that when she is going on to kindergarten, that she has that experience and knows what it's like to have different learners in a classroom and how to learn like everyone else does.
While Peyton is having a great school year, there are students who are struggling. Mental health issues have been magnified by the pandemic. School counselors are working hard to help children deal with the additional stressors in their lives.
What are some other things we practice to help calm yourself down? We practice ways to calm yourself down over and over and over, because if you don't practice them, they're not in your toolbox to be used on a day in and day out basis, and you want to be able to have those at the ready.
The district continues to partner with local mental health organizations to serve more students. That includes a new partnership with the University of Florida Department of Psychiatry, which is providing assessments in schools to get services to students sooner.
We have to treat the whole child, because if we don't have their emotional health intact, then how can they think about learning to get the academics intact? We have to treat the whole child, and treating that social, emotional is a huge part of a student being successful in academics.
Providing help to families is also critical to a child's success. This year, the district will be sending its Parent Academy buses back out into neighborhoods to empower families to support their children by helping them access school and community resources.
It's just proven again and again that our children are at least 2 to 3 times more successful when we get involved in their lives, and we want to help parents do that, and we want to get the word out that that's the way to go in order to have contributing students and build strong neighborhoods and successful people.
Helping kids succeed in school and after they graduate is the goal of the AVID program, which is in place in 10 local schools. AVID focuses on college and career readiness among students who are typically underrepresented in higher education.
It's fun being able to, introduce them to different college activities, whether we're doing virtual field trips or actual field trips, but opening their eyes to what college life is about, and they get really excited.
From teaching them their ABCs to helping them prepare for college, from mental health to family support, ACPS teachers and staff are committed to serving the whole child.
Anna, can I take a look and see what page?
Let's give them all a hand. I'm so happy to bring a portion of our family. We know that is so much greater than the individuals who will take the stage, but they are definitely representing what we have seen on screen already. So at this time, if we can have Ms. Elizabeth Simpson, our Director of ESC, which is Exceptional Student Education and Student Services. Dr. Tony Griffin, our School Counselor Supervisor. Ms. Vita Carter, our Director of System of Care. Dr. Blake Beckett, our new Equity Instructional Coach. Ms. Pamela Anderson, our Parent Academy Specialist. The coordinator for our VPK program, Ms. Tricia Nieves. And as was shown in the video, there are blended classrooms also with pre-K ESC, and I believe Carla Hutchinson is with us tonight as well. And last but not least, we have our coordinator director for our Hippie program, Ms. Stacy Hill. Collectively, these individuals work to direct the work that we do in our pre-K programs all the way through high school, the mental health supports that we need, ensuring that we provide support for students who have disabilities, so on and so forth. But again, we cannot do this without you. So we want to share with you our ask. If you would look at the screen, you see diverse faces. You see kids who are happy. Those are the students that we want to see in our classrooms every day. And that's important because we know that Due to the pandemic and other hardships, mental health concerns being on the rise, that students are being faced with some barriers, and one of those barriers is attendance in school. And attendance in school is directly correlated to student achievement and their outcomes. So all of this great work that we saw within the video, it can't occur if our students aren't present. So what is the ask, you say? The ask is that our community members, our parents, our caregivers, our families, our teachers would encourage and motivate our students to be present every day, because their fighting chance comes in them being here. Thank you so much. At this time, I welcome to our forefront our Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Donna Jones.
But good evening. First, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's so important that we have our community supporting us and really doing those things that make a difference in the lives of children. I was sitting in the audience earlier, and it took me back a few years because Eastside has always been one of the very special places for me. I started my teaching career here in 1983. I was happy to see that the band is still going. They have cheerleaders. Years ago, I worked with Mr. Parker, and I was one of the band sponsors. So this has always been a very near and dear place for me. But above all, I was happy to see all of the upgrades because in 1983, when we sat in this auditorium, it did not look anything like it does today. So thanks to the half-cent sales tax, to community support, we're able to provide this type of facility for our students and families. So thank you. So to my right, we're going to be addressing the Transformational Leadership Academy. This is the inaugural year, and we are transforming how administrators think about the work that they're doing within their schools. When Dr. Simon talked with me about this, I said, well, I want a team. So to my right, I have Ms. Nanette Dell, who is the Executive Director for Elementary Schools. And also, I have Mrs. Jaquetta Roll, who is the Director of Professional Development. So before they share a few of the points, highlights with you, I want to just first of all give you a little background information about the Transformational Leadership Academy. The Academy is being developed to help principals improve and sustain school improvement. It is comprised of 11 principals, 3 assistant principals, and we have 5 members from the Department of Education, Bureau of School Improvement, who are working with us for this first year. The program will also give principals an opportunity to collaborate with their colleagues. They will complete a self-assessment, which will give them some insight into their strengths as well as their challenges as leaders. The program will require that they complete instructional focus tours at schools in our district as well as schools in other counties. A few other things that they will participate in will be a book study. We are reading Fierce Conversations, which is all about having those really difficult but much needed conversations with people within our schools. And finally, they will have an opportunity to have a real graduation as being the very first class for transformational leadership. And my final hope as they finish the program is that they will reflect on their own leadership practices to transform teaching and learning in their schools and in the district. Thank you. So next, you will hear from Mrs. Dale.
Thank you, Ms. Jones, and I am thrilled to be a part of the Transformational Leadership Academy. And through participation in this academy, our school administrators will develop leadership practices for rapid school improvement. They will collaborate with their peers and problem solve, and then they're going to use that knowledge that they have gained to create transformational action plan for their schools.
Thank you, Ms. Dell. Now, let's take a look as 3 of our participants share what it means to be a part of the Transformational Leadership Academy.
My name is Heather Harbour, and I am the principal at Alachua Elementary School.
My name is Michael Cavanaugh. I'm the assistant principal at the Sidney Lanier Center in Alachua County.
Hi, my name is Christiana Robbins, and I am the principal at Metcalfe Elementary School.
I've had the opportunity to participate in the Transformational Leadership Academy, and it has been such a nice opportunity to collaborate with colleagues and to spend some time refocusing and making sure that our daily work is very centered on moving our school forward.
Being a part of the Transformational Leadership Academy and definitely being a part of the first group for this academy is an honor for me. But I think it will also be very rewarding. I love working in schools that need administrators, that need leaders, that need teachers to really help the whole school, the whole body of students make academic improvements. There are a lot of schools that need that, and I really enjoy that kind of work. And so to be able to be a part of an official program that will allow me to learn some skills or to hone my skills in different areas, to officially receive information about things that have worked in other schools that I may not have tried, will be a rewarding experience for me. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
A few of the ways that this Transformational Academy will impact my work or is already impacting my work is it helps me refocus on those things that have the greatest impact. It helps motivate me and my team as we work on moving our school forward. It also helps stimulate some innovative and forward thinking in terms of being creative and thinking outside the box for student achievement, for teacher engagement, and for instructional practices.
I plan on using what I learned in the Transformational Academy to help develop systems at our school that allow teachers to deliver the best instruction they can and at the same time allow our students to make the academic gains that they need.
So the things that I learned as part of the Transformational Leadership Academy, those things will help me be more reflective. I'm already reflective, self-reflective, just, as an administrator. That's just a good thing to be, is reflective, so that you can think about the things that you're doing and make improvements as you're going along. But the things that I'm learning specifically in the academy will help me to be more mindful of some of my practices, because we're pinpointing specific things that we should do, whether it is to build a positive culture in the school, whether it is to get buy-in from teachers, and of course, dealing with things and improving the academic progress of our students.
We are excited to grow and learn alongside these administrators. And now it is my pleasure to welcome up our Chief of Operations, Mr. Shane Andrew.
Good evening, everyone. Ms. Jones was saying another Ram. It sure is good to be home. Yes. So, the transformation and revitalization of our schools would not be occurring without the support of our Alachua County citizens and taxpayers, as you all know. Your approval of the half-cent sales tax and the 1 mil for schools has provided us with essential funding needed to begin addressing our aging schools and infrastructure. With your support, Throughout the pandemic, from June of 2020 to July of 2021, we were able to complete new construction and revitalization work at Terwilliger Elementary School, Metcalfe Elementary School, and Howard Bishop Middle School, and transform their campuses on time for the start of this school year, the 2021-2022 school year. Through our citizens' support and approval of wild spaces and public places, Alachua County Public Schools has collaborated with Alachua County and the City of Gainesville in an effort to provide our community with recreational access to playgrounds, fields, courts, and open spaces at Parker Elementary School, Lincoln Middle School, Williams Elementary School, Howard Bishop Middle School, and Lake Forest Elementary School. Recently, we completed the auditorium renovation projects at Santa Fe High School and here at Eastside High School. Currently, as some of you may or may not know, we're in the final phases of wrapping up new construction at Idlewild Elementary School and gearing up to do an auditorium renovation and track and field project at Buchholz High School. We're also in the process of adding some outdoor learning spaces and starting a HVAC replacement project on Building 20 at Gainesville High School. Our Food and Nutrition Services Department and our facilities team will be collaborating on an upcoming cafeteria renovation at Hidden Oak Elementary School. And as you have probably heard, we will be putting your tax dollars to work as we start new construction projects at Oakview Middle School and Westwood Middle School. Those are just a few examples of how our citizens of Alachua County are transforming our classrooms and schools for our students, teachers, and staff. Learning environments positively impact everyone. This next video clearly communicates the positive impact of learning environments on our students, teachers, staff, visitors, and community stakeholders. Let's take a look and listen to the testimonials from those that work within our schools.
That was me, Mike Gamble, the principal of Howard Bishop Middle School about 3 years ago. I was showing what would happen in our technology lab whenever we had a hard rain. This is one of our new technology labs. It's obviously a much better place for teaching and learning.
Your physical surroundings make an enormous difference in your attitude towards something. And this new school, I think almost all the kids are way more positive than they were before. I think all of them appreciate the new school. They're really excited about it.
Thanks to the Half-Cent Schools initiative approved by voters in 2018, the Bishop campus has been revitalized. Most of our existing buildings were knocked down. We now have a beautiful new classroom building and a new cafeteria. Most of the buildings that weren't demolished have been renovated. Our classrooms and other spaces are bigger, brighter, and a lot more comfortable. They look and work a whole lot better, and our kids are much happier in them.
It's like some days I could be like, I'm not going to school. And then I end up coming to school to this beautiful building, and it's amazing. The students really love it.
I really like it here. Inside the classrooms, it's home. You're in a new place, you're in a better place. When I'm inside in this nice classroom, I want to learn more about everything.
Just across Northeast 12th Street is Metcalfe Elementary School, where many of our students come from. Metcalfe has also gotten a massive makeover, including a new classroom building. The teachers at Metcalfe are thrilled with their new and improved campus.
Kids come in here and everything's so bright and cheerful, and it just makes them excited to be in here in the classrooms, and I think it helps with the attitude about learning and about coming to school and about being in a classroom. You're in there all day long. I mean, you want to be in a nice place.
The kids are so excited about being a part of a new building and just belonging to the new and improved Metcalfe Elementary. They're excited. They're excited. I'm excited.
Bishop and Metcalfe are just two of the Alachua County schools that are being improved with funding from the half-cent and local property taxes. Students at Terwilliger Elementary School, my alma mater, have moved from their old and run-down campus to an entirely new school. A revitalized Idlewild Elementary will open next fall, and plans to remake Westwood Middle School are under development. A new classroom building is being designed for Oakview Middle School. The auditoriums at Santa Fe and Eastside High Schools have been renovated. There are new HVAC systems at Gainesville High and several other schools. New roofs and security systems have been installed throughout the district. There's still a lot more work to do, but over the next 10 years or so, students all over Alachua County will have exciting new facilities in which to learn, grow, and make friends, just like our students here at Howard Bishop.
I definitely couldn't have said it better than Mr. Gamble and all of our students and colleagues at our schools. Moving on, you know, together, and I know everyone here already knows this, but moving on to the next slide, together we can transform the future. Our Alachua County Public Schools are the heart and soul of our communities. Many of us joined together here this evening, attended our public schools, and have been positively impacted by public education. Classrooms are where it starts. With the support of our citizens, our local municipalities, our business partners, and our contractors, when we couple those with the facilities department and our teammates from various departments like instructional technology, curriculum and instruction, equity and inclusion, student services, transportation, information resources, food and nutrition services, finance, and all of the other departments within our system, we work together to revitalize our schools and classrooms. As you know, our work has just begun. It's going to be amazing as we see schools transform around Alachua County. So what do we need? We need your help and participation as we continue to work on the transformation of our schools into 21st century learning spaces. We need you to volunteer your time and your talents. We, of course, value your support. We encourage you to join one of our PTSAs, one of our SACs, even one of our booster groups. You don't have to have students in the schools to support them. We ask that you attend and participate in upcoming school-related events and meetings prior to the holidays and in the new year to come. Your collective efforts will have a positive, lasting impact on our students for generations to come. Now, before I relinquish the microphone, I do have a couple of teammates that I'd like to introduce. Mr. Glenn Mollander is here. He's our director. He's our Director of Instructional Technology and all things HVAC. He has to run to the problems, not away from them. And you hear our administrators clapping because he's always coming to help them out, and he does a lot of work in the classroom to assist our teachers with teaching and learning. And then with us tonight, we also have Mr. Eddie Souza. He is our Director of Facilities and Maintenance. Mr. Souza is also, well, this past year before he became director in July, he was the senior project coordinator, and he was in charge of the new construction project at Terwilliger Elementary School. So he put in endless hours to help that build be completed for the start of the new school year. Both of these gentlemen are on call 24/7. And I mean that 7 days a week. These are the two gentlemen that run to everything in our district, whether it's a holiday, a Saturday, a Sunday, whatever time it is. So we truly appreciate both of you. And so now, without further ado, I'd like to turn the floor over to our transformational leader, our Superintendent of Alachua County Public Schools, Dr. Carly Simon.
So I want to talk about transparency and communication. One of the things that we have to do, it's paramount for us to do the work, is to make sure that we build trust within the community. And ways of doing that are being transparent with what we do and communicating as often as possible. So I want to bring Taylor Gilfillin back. He helps us with measuring student performance and progress monitoring, but what he also helps us do is share information in an accessible way. And I'm very much interested in finance, and not everybody enjoys talking about finance, and not everybody likes spreadsheets. And Mr. Gilfillin has been very helpful in having us look at our finance in a visual way that's accessible. And so I want to thank Mr. Gilfillin for what he's done. I also would like to bring up the Chief of Finance, Alex Rella. So, I mean, let's face it, the finances are where the rubber meets the road. Everything that we want to do, everything that we are interested in, there is a price tag attached to it. And Mr. Rella has been very helpful with making sure that we make our money stretch and we get as much return on our investments as we can. I also would like to introduce Mr. Jamar Akins, and he is our Community Engagement Coordinator. These three gentlemen represent large teams of people. Mr. Gilfillin's department essentially got expanded quite a bit. I'd say it's 3 times the original size. But what we're doing is more than 3 times the work. We find that data is important and we can use data to tell all sorts of stories. I'll give you some examples today about our finances, but we are looking at expanding this to how we share information about our human resources, time on task, instruction. We can tell so many stories by using data and the tools that Mr. Gilfillin has. And Alex Rella, of course, has a huge team of individuals who help make sure that our funding is going where it needs to support our students. And then Mr. Akins, when I started, Jackie Johnson was the communication department. And she does great work, but one person with a school district this size is just a lot. And so we have expanded her department as well because we know that communication is important. And we also know that we have a huge task in front of us to engage the community as we focus on really transforming the school district. Thank you, gentlemen. As I shared, I love school finance. I was a faculty member where I taught teachers who wanted to become principals how schools are funded. And one of the things I learned when I was doing this is that not only does the principal need to understand how the money works, but they need to be able to convey it to the community, because especially when we have situations like levies being passed, we need people to understand that we are taking care of their taxpayer funds and we are making sure that we are governing it in a responsible way. So one thing that Bradley Reed, who is actually a member of Taylor's team, has done for us is he's created this tool where we're able to look at not only the district data, where you can look at how much we're spending on salaries, benefits, you can see our utilities at the district level, but we can also take this down to the school level. I do want to point out to you, because this is something that would drive me crazy if I was teaching this in a class, the price per student is a number that you should be very careful about because it doesn't tell the whole story. Our schools that are under-enrolled are going to be more expensive per student. Our schools that are over-enrolled are going to be less. That doesn't mean that those students are more expensive. What it means is we're not yet efficient, and those are things that we are going to have to talk about in the future when we talk about our enrollments and the imbalance. We are about to be starting our Sr3 funding, and this is where we have roughly $60 million from the federal government that we want to focus on academics, mental health, and our facilities. These are ESSER $2, and this was around $27 million. And this is a program, Tableau. We use this program with our COVID data. This program is a great way for us to share this information, what we're doing, but it's also really important for you to get an idea of what we value, because where we put our money is where we're invested and what we prioritize. And I'm very pleased to point out that in this graph, or in this table, where you see the largest percentage of the pie, that's for our teaching and learning. And so we believe that that's where our funding needs to go. And this is a good tool for us to kind of reflect on not only the purchases that we need to make, but also the purchases that we have made. Are we getting the return on the investment? Because that is what we need to be looking at every single day we're spending dollars. So we are focusing on community engagement. We will talk more about that community engagement in a few slides, but we have committees, and we've started some new committees. One of the new committees that we started that I'm very proud of and I'm very excited about, because even though we've just started, we're getting a lot of energy out of it and we're getting a lot of healthy conversations, and that's the Teacher Advisory Council. What it consists of is one teacher from every school, and they have time with me. And we started with with 4 meetings scheduled for the year. Based on the communications in our very first meeting, we expanded that to 8. And then on top of that, the teachers have requested that we have 2 full-day experiences through this year so we can get together and really start to solve our problems together. We were having a disconnect between the district and the schools, and this is our way to kind of close that gap, because you want to have that understanding of what teachers need, and teachers need to understand what the district is struggling with. So I'm very proud about this. We have a call to action, or I have a call to action. One committee that's actually required at every school is to have a school advisory council. You are welcome to participate in your schools, and we'd like you to, because we need to have that type of participation, because when we share our leadership, especially at the school level, we're going to be able to provide the resources and the programs that you think you need for your school. So please check into your SAC committee, ask your building principal about it, and please get involved. So when we did all of these programs, we started with the teachers and the students. We really have to center them in every decision we make. If it doesn't boil down to serving the teachers and the staff and serving the students, then we need to go back to the drawing board. These are the 8 programs, or the 8 initiatives that we have shared with you today. As you can see, we have the high-dose tutoring, we have our after-school tutoring beyond the bell, we have our wonderful collaboration with the University of Florida with UFly, we have our new progress monitoring program that we're using, Illuminate. We are focused on equity. We are well into our facility revamping. We're very excited to launch our Transformational Leadership program. We believe we are going to be building the bench of strong leaders. And then we are very much focused on increasing our transparency and our communication. So I wanted to talk about how this process worked and how I think that we need to utilize this to continue our next efforts. I believe every good idea starts with people who are willing to have ideas and talk about them and share them. I have a lot of ideas. Many of my staff members will know I come with a ton of them. Some of them are horrible, and some are pretty good. And some actually need to be shaped, and they need to be shaped because we talk. And one of those things that happens is we have to trust each other. We share a lot of thoughts, and we have a good team that wants to kind of dig in, lean in, take an idea, and make it even better. We also need to evaluate these decisions. So good ideas can always be improved. It's never a finished product. What it needs is to constantly be shaped, and we have to not be afraid of taking our product or our idea personally, because everything can improve. And we have to look at it, and we have to evaluate it, and we have to get feedback from others, and we have to make decisions, and some of that means we have to modify or alter. When we have good ideas, we need to replicate them. And I think what we've shared with you today, there are some of these ideas that we know we can replicate, and we plan to. So that's going to help us scale up, and that's going to transform our district. We have so much further to go, but what we also have is these 4 concepts. They sit inside identification and conversation, and that's what we want to talk about with this community engagement. We as district staff, we've looked and we have identified some of our needs, but we also know that we have to talk to people because some things we just don't see, and we don't see because of where our vantage point is. And so we are going to have to continually identify, because I can tell you now these 8 things didn't solve our concerns. We know we have more concerns. We also know that the better we get, things that used to be far off plans are going to get closer to us, and we want to address those as well. And then the conversations. We have to continue to have conversations because we know we can improve, and we want to have these conversations with not only our staff, but we want to have them with our community and with our students. So we shared the 8, but what our goal is to expand. We need to scale up. And so we see this as just one idea keeps building off another and building off of another, and we have so much that we can do. So on May 14th, 2013, the district had a very robust engagement plan, and that was associated with the development of the strategic plan, which would be the goals for the district and the direction of the district. 2013 is a while ago, and what we also had is we had the impact of COVID, and I think if any of you are like me, COVID changed everything. It changed who we are, it changed how we see education, it changed how we see ourselves, it changed how we see our future. So we need to have those engaging conversations again. We need to talk about who we are and what we want and where we want to go. We need to have the ideation phase. We need to talk about what we want to replicate. And we need to dream, and we need to come together on this. So what we're proposing is November 15th, 2021 is today. On November 21st, 2022, our board will have an enormous change because we have 4 board members who will be up for re-election or election in our August election. We have the reorganization on November 21. So what we would like to do is not only do we want to continue our engagement that we're talking about and make changes as we go along. So when we see low-hanging fruit, definitely take them. But we also want to make sure that we provide this time to really collect more of this information, sort it, organize it, and so when that new board comes in November, they have an idea of what the community is interested in. So this is our community engagement timeline. In November, we want to obviously launch it. This is our launch. For the spring, we're focusing on community conversations. So what we would like to do is once a month have 3 engagements where we have a face-to-face, a virtual, and then we would like to meet with our high school students. Our goal is to rotate around the county so we can get the high school students in one community, have the face-to-face engagement there, and then also have our virtual engagement. And we would do this once a month till October-ish or September before the new board comes into place. We also are developing surveys. We will have surveys of our teachers, we'll have surveys of district staff, we will have surveys of families, and we would like to survey our students as well. We think it's important to get as much information as possible, and hint, hint, we're hoping to collaborate with UF on helping with survey design. In the early fall, we would like to start to summarize this information. And again, Mr. Gilfillin's department will be very helpful with us trying to look at our data. We're also hoping to have qualitative research as well. And so we would have, our goal is to have a robust report that has not only the engagement, but our filtering down of what the goals are of our new district post-COVID. And then, of course, this would be a report shared with the new board. So when that new board takes over, they have an idea of the sense of the community and the direction we need to go, because it's also very helpful. I know this in my own situation as being superintendent. It's helpful to know where we want to go, because we can get there as long as we know we're heading in similar directions. So this is our transformation in progress. I want to thank you so much again for coming. We appreciate you dedicating your time to us. I hope you were impressed by my team. I am beyond. In July, I knew I had a good team of colleagues. Now that's even more so. Every single day, I am more and more happy with the people I surround myself with. I surround myself with people who make me better, who are smarter than me, who help us do the work that needs to happen, and I appreciate that type of collaboration, and I appreciate them so much. So I have one last ask for you. We have a QR code, and this is our initial survey, because one of the things that we need to do is we need to continue this conversation. So for those of you who have a phone, you can scan this. It should be pretty quick. I think there's about 5 questions about this experience, and then we're looking for your contact information. And the reason we want your contact information is we would like you to collaborate with us and help us host community conversations or introduce us to people in your community that you think we need to talk to. This is our way of starting these conversations, and we're hoping to again scale this up. If you don't have a phone that is able to do the scanning, or if you are just not interested in scanning this way, we do have paper paper surveys on the outside when you leave that you can fill out as well if you would like. Again, thank you very much for coming. Before you leave, please make sure you look at the Parent Academy bus. It's pretty impressive. It's parked over by the band area over here, so please take a look around, and thank you again.